Hello explorers, thanks for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining us for the first time, we appreciate your time. In this episode, I will be diving into the reason why any new United States of America's administration will be challenged in the Middle East. I will be looking at specifics in this video. Why the United States of America is overstretched as a security provider. The next president may introduce Middle East policy changes, but his or her maneuver room will remain very tight. I will be looking at some details in this video, explore analytical information, draw down to geopolitics. First, I will explain why no United States of America's administration can disengage from the Middle East. Secondly, why Western geopolitical interests there are crucial and enduring. The third will be why Russia and China continue to challenging the status quo in the region, and more importantly, why the continent of Africa and the African Union is observing events in the Middle East very closely. I understand that each time an African channel takes a big topic to address with regards to global powers, the channels are mostly being censored or reviewed. We are not different here on this channel. Just because we are on air, we don't know when our channel will be closed. We have lost our TikTok page, and because we continue to give more detailed analysis regards to Africa's perspective. If Africa cannot tell its stories on how the continent engages with its strategic partners, then there is a problem. However, we will continue to talk about those very important things that in one way or the other will affect the continent of Africa. So if you like videos like this and how we dive into geopolitical issues on this channel like you're already used to, we'll encourage you to smash the like button and share the video with your different network. So without any much delay, let's just dive straight into it. The United States faces significant challenges in protecting its vital interests in the Middle East, regardless of the outcome of the November 2024 national elections. Both a future Republican and Democratic administration will likely adopt distinct regional strategies. However, even substantial shifts in the United States of America's policy are unlikely to promptly address the escalating security, economic and political crisis affecting the Middle East. The United States of America will need to balance its commitment in this region against pressing demands in other critical areas such as Europe and the Indo-Pacific. That will be difficult to do unless American policy can achieve regional stability in at least one of those three major theaters and avoiding other establishment and also entanglement in Latin America and the continent of Africa as we continue to see events unfolding in the Sahel, the Central Asia and the Caucasus. But first, let me look at how it is impossible and how the policy pivot is shaping. Neither a Republican nor Democratic administration is likely to disengage from the Middle East, like I've pointed out. Both the Obama administration of 2009 to 2017 and the Biden administration from 2021 to present administration continuously and initially aimed to reduce the United States of America's footprint in the region. Yet, both ended up even more deeply involved by the end of their terms. Currently, the United States of America maintains its most significant military deployment in the area in recent years, with approximately over 45,000 personnel stationed in the Middle East. This situation underscores that the weight of American interest in the Middle East is inevitably compels any U.S. administration to re-engage whatever regional stability is at risk. If you look at strategic options here, the current United States of America's military deployment in the region, primarily consisting of Marines and Air Force, underscore the significant limitation on any potential security pivot to Asia. Presently, approximately 70% of the United States of America's naval forces are stationed in Asia. If the US were to shift additional resources to the Indo-Pacific, it will lack the capacity to conduct major operations in other regions, even within the involvement of allied forces. The United States of America's policy of preventing external powers from dominating the Middle East remains a bipartisan commitment applicable to both Russia and China. If you look at strategic options as Africa continues to make its own choices with regards to how it engages global partners, More importantly, for instance, the United States of America's armed forces will not have means to protect shipping in the Red Sea from the Houthi attacks, deter Iran, support Israel, or maintain a presence in the Mediterranean while also countering Russia's activities in the Black Sea. Additionally, the United States of America's military presence in the Mediterranean and the Middle East offers a surge capability that can respond to contingencies ranging from Arctic and also Central Asia to the continent of Africa, specifically in the Sahel. While the United States cannot afford to reduce its military deployment in these regions, significant interest in American military presence are unlikely, as the US seeks to simultaneously sustain adequate conventional forces to deter threats from China, Iran, and also Russia across Middle East theater. Consequently, the United States of America will primarily be positioned to reassure allies, support collective self-defense, ensure freedom of navigation, and contribute to conventional deterrence. This is so difficult for the US strategic option in the region and other parts around the world. But the question here is, if you look at the great power competition in the Middle East at the moment, the influence of external powers has been a constant factor in the geopolitics of the Middle East throughout the modern era. That is unlikely to change, as the geostrategic importance of the region is not declining. In the 1980s, the United States of America's President Jimmy Carter, from 1977 to 1981, declared what became known as the Carter Doctrine, stating that the United States of America will use military force if necessary to defend its national interests in the Persian Gulf. This declaration was intended as an explicit deterrent against the Soviet Union at the time. The United States policy of preventing external powers from dominating the Middle East remains a bipartisan commitment and applicable to both Russia and China, like I've pointed out. However, in recent years, the US administration have increasingly sought alternatives to military deterrent to achieve this objective, following the setbacks in Iraq and Afghanistan, and with limited group troops availability across multiple theaters. Neither a Republican nor a Democratic administration will proactively pursue, boost, or ground or attempt to impose regime change or adversarial government. If you look at how the United States have been kicked out from the country of Niger and how US still struggles to engage countries in West Africa, this tells you that the Global South and also its allies are engaging the strategic option to squash down the status quo. If you look at other perspectives, importantly, neither Russia nor China possesses the freedom of action necessary to launch a significant effort in the Middle East. Their influence is primarily exerted through cooperative actions with Iran, forming an alliance driven by a combination of other areas, necessity, and also mutual animosity towards the United States and its interests as well, and also the US hegemonic approach in a number of countries within the region. However, their future activity will be constrained by several factors: the strain on Chinese economy, the deliberating impact on Russia of its war in Ukraine, and fluctuating energy prices, which will impact all their economies as both exporters and also consumers. If you look at figures based on the complexity of the landscape of policy changes within the region, no future US administration will rely solely on military force in feasibility future also to create a more favorable environment for American interests. Instead, the United States of America will increasingly turn to other instruments of national power to influence regional outcomes. This is where the policy of Republican and Democratic administration could diverge significantly, both in terms of means employed and the objective pursued. However, given the diverse and complex array of challenges within the region, it is important to understand that the United States of America faces a lot of challenges. It is impossible and also improbable that any administration will adopt a one-size-fits-all approach to regional policy. Future US administration will need to navigate a multitude of pressing challenges, including the following that I'm going to talk about. For example, the US engagement with Iran. If there is one consistent US objective in the Middle East, despite varying strategies, it is to prevent Iran from becoming an established nuclear power. Recent public assessment from Western intelligence confirmed that Iran's nuclear status is now less about technical capabilities and more about political decisions. the debate over whether Iran nuclear deal, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action known as the JCPOA, would have been sufficient to deter Iran's nuclear program is now irrelevant, as Iran has surpassed the level of nuclear enrichment and necessary for reproducing or producing nuclear weapons. If you look at this particular option, a sustainable agreement between Palestinian and Israel is likely still a generation away. Both the United States of America and also strategic partners in the Middle East are observing things very closely. While the Trump administration may have briefly deterred Iran by constraining its economic and proxies, the regime has since rebounded. The past strategies of both Republican and Democratic administration are no longer adequate to contain Iran's nuclear ambition. The second aspect here is Israel. Like I pointed, it's become both a domestic and foreign policy issues for the United States of America. At home, organized networks fueled by foreign money and American philosophy are contributing to rising anti-Semitic and also anti-Zionism in the United States, significantly and also undermining traditional bipartisan support for Israel. Nevertheless, Israel's importance as a critical region ally remains unchanged. In the United States of America, the two-state solutions have become a central political talk, and that going ahead to point out, with the consensus being that a sustainable agreement between Palestinian and Israel is likely still a generation away, like I talked about. The fundamental challenge for any administration will be to maintain support for Israel within the United States of America policy circles, while developing a sustainable security strategy to protect Israel's territory and citizens from attacks by Iranian proxies, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis and faction in Syria and also Iraq, as well as direct threat from Iran. No Israeli government can endure long if it fails to demonstrate its ability to protect its people and revitalize the economy while addressing escalating security demand. Achieving both objectives become increasingly difficult without the United States of America's support, which remains irreplaceable. In the near term, there is no viable alternative to this strategic dependence. If you look at the two-state solutions that most governments around the world are continuing to speak about, and also that the President of France, President Emmanuel Macron, has publicly said that France does not support the contribution and sending of weapons to the country of Israel, as Israel continues to carry out the massacre in several ways regarding what happened in October at the time, where a number of Israeli citizens were killed, and Israel's retaliation based on what the Hamas healthcare administration has said that a number of people amounting to over 40,000 have been killed. And South Africa at the moment has taken the country of Israel to the ICC, and most countries call Israel's action as genocide. If you look at other perspective, looking at the US relationship as well, considering Turkey and Qatar. If you look at Turkey and also Qatar, as US continue to deal with this particular region, both continue to attract controversies in the US for various reasons, including Qatari funding of American universities and Turkey's support for the Muslim Brotherhood. Those issues have led to clashes between Republicans and Democrats over policies regarding those nations. Nonetheless, bipartisan relations have remained stable due to critical strategic importance of those relationships for the United States of America. The incoming president will need to find ways to improve ties and safeguard the United States of America's interests in the face of potentially hostile attitude towards a tool in Washington. If you look at perspective as I continue to close down this episode, several issues present the US with opportunities for action that could significantly influence America's policy and regional stability. Energy. Republicans and Democrats have sharply divergent views on energy policy. Republicans emphasize the need to increase the availability of reliable, affordable energy and enhance energy security by reducing dependency on Russia and Iranian export. In contrast, Democrats prioritize green transition strategies and also net zero goals. If you look at other areas, the incoming administration will face volatile and also challenging conditions without a strong domestic consensus on policies. If you look at the nuclear deterrent, like I talked about, the US must be concerned not only about a nuclear Iran, but also about the potential for escalating regional nuclear proliferation in response to Iran's nuclear threat. Future administration will face critical decisions regarding the extension of the U.S. nuclear umbrella, the expansion of strategic missile defense, and other options for enhancing deterrence. Regional supply chain is something very important. The rise of the Indian economy and other factors driving Indo-Pacific trade will replace and also place greater emphasis on connectivity projects such as the Southern Gas Corridor to connect the economies of Europe with India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, and ultimately with those further eastward, and the Indian Middle East Europe Economic Corridor known as IMEC. The United States of America's role in those regions development will significantly affect its influence, engagement, and also interest. Let's talk about the Arab state. There is a strong bipartisan consensus in the United States of America that Israel's Arab normalization can be revitalized through enhanced security, economic, and also diplomatic cooperation. The issue will be what constructive role the U.S. can play in facilitating this process, as we all have seen how the process has stalled. We all have seen how the Arab engagement with Israel has stalled based on the current war and conflict going on in Gaza, and a number of Arab countries have a number of reservations. As we saw, the Libyan ambassador at the United Nations clearly came out to lash out to the United States of America and its allies and with regards to that perspective of global peace. As I close this episode to considering my own scenario, however, the most likely not clear strategic trajectory for the US based on my own assessment, regardless of whether Republicans or Democrats takes the White House, next year the incoming administration will face volatile and challenging conditions without a strong domestic consensus on policy. While potential leaders from both parties may have distinct initial policy preferences, they will need to adapt, innovate, and also respond to realities on the ground. The primary goal for whoever assumes the presidency will likely be to stabilize the region and will not only strengthen NATO's southern flank, but also enable the United States of America address growing demands in the Indo-Pacific as China and Russia continue to challenge the United States aspect and strategy in the continent of Africa and across the world. Undoubtedly, the foremost challenge will be managing relations with Iran, making it an early priority for the next administration, as Iran has demonstrated what its capabilities can be, and that Iran cannot be ignored based on the current events in the Middle East. If you look at other aspects, however, it is an early priority for the next administration. Well, it may take years before the US can confidently assert that it is safeguarding its interests in the region. We want to thank you for watching. Hopefully we've informed you regards the complexity and the challenges that await the next United States of America's administration in the Middle East, and why other countries like Russia, China, India, the countries of the European Union, and more importantly South Africa and the African Union are observing the behavior based on the current US political system, and whoever assumed the White House would have to deal with these complex issues coming from West Africa, as how the United States of America's policy in the region has been challenged in several ways. We want to thank you for watching. Let us know what you think with regards to the current challenges that are going on around the world and how the US should perceive and also engage in partners in the Middle East. And also let us know what you think the implications will be for the next US administration. For now, we want to thank you for watching. If you are new here, we'll encourage you to smash the like button, share the video with your different network. We are looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.